Welcome back, Fantasy Pros. I'm Andrew Erickson, and today I'm breaking down my favorite trades for Week 3 NFL Fantasy Football season. Before I get to my list, unlock the full potential of your team with Trade Central. Pinpoint your strengths, weaknesses, and top trade partners all in one place. Next, stay ahead of the competition by using the Trade Finder. Uncover game-changing trades that can take your team to the next level. And finally, before you pull the trigger on any deal, rely on the Trade Analyzer to see how your moves will impact your lineup and your chances of victory. With My Playbook's powerful trade tools at your fingertips, you have everything you need to win every deal and dominate this season. Head to fantasypros.com/myplaybook or download the Fantasy Football My Playbook app today. Now let's get to the trade list. Number 10, Jordan Mason, rest of season rank RB18, buy. Jordan Mason was the workhorse back for San Francisco again in Week 2, rushing 20 times for 100 yards, including a long run of 22 yards at 5.0 yards per carry, played 81% snap share, and had 6 red zone carries. Nobody can truly pinpoint when we will see Christian McCaffrey return to the lineup, making Jordan Mason a buy low target for those fearing his job security. Because every news item we get on CMC's health seems to be worse than the next. Meanwhile, Mason's consistent fantasy RB1 production makes rushing McCaffrey back quickly less likely for the 49ers. Take the RB1 production at a discount by acquiring Jordan Mason. Use Jalen Waddle for this next running back to acquire Mason in your fantasy league. Number 9, Aaron Jones, rest of season rank RB19, sell. Ty Chandler had an impressive game on the ground, rushing 10 times for 82 yards in Week 2. Meanwhile, Aaron Jones contributed 9 rushes for just 32 yards. He also lost a fumble. Jones played more than in Week 1 at a 61% snap rate, while Chandler's snap rate remained the same at 35%. Chandler's first carry came more than halfway through the second quarter. I don't think the box score accurately portrays Jones as the RB1, but still, it's a friendly reminder that Chandler has a role in this Vikings offense, and that's not going away. And that Jones isn't the most reliable running back over a 17-game span. After a hot start, I'd be looking to cash out sooner rather than later on Aaron Jones. The Texans' Week 3 matchup is a no-joke for run defenses. Per next-gen stats, Houston allowed Bears running backs to gain more yards than expected on just 1 of 16 rushing attempts, their lowest rate of runs over expected since 2018. The Texans allowed the fewest rushing yards over expectation in the NFL in 2023. Sell Jones for David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Zay Flowers, J.K. Dobbins, Tony Pollard, or this next running back to buy. Number 8, Brian Robinson Jr., rest of season rank RB22, buy. Brian Robinson led the Commanders' ground game with 17 carries for 133 yards, averaging 7.8 yards per carry, with a long run of 40 yards. Played a 60% snap rate to Austin Eckler's 43%. This was a bigger gap than in Week 1. B-Rob also had 3 carries inside the 10-yard line to Eckler's 2. Robinson also ran more routes than Eckler. It's a great matchup for the Commanders' ground game in Week 3 versus Cincinnati Bengals, who have the 7th most rushing yards running backs to start the season. Send Najee Harris, Puka Nacua, Rashad White, Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, or Aaron Jones, or this next running back to get Brian Robinson on your team. Number 7, Zack Moss, rest of season rank RB28, sell. Zack Moss led the Bengals backfield with 12 carries for 34 yards, averaging under 3 yards per carry. He played 80% of the snaps. He was targeted once for 13 yards and had 5 red zone carries with 0 touchdowns. Had all the workload, not much to show for it. Despite that, Chase Brown had a productive day on limited touches, carrying the ball just 4 times, but for 31 yards, averaging nearly 8 yards per carry. He had a 28-yard rush and 3 other rushes of 6 or more yards. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but Moss hasn't been impressive with his usage thus far in the Bengals backfield. I think Cincinnati might switch things up in their backfield if Moss doesn't improve. Sell Moss and hold on to Chase Brown. Remember last season, Alexander Madison's role as the RB1 for the Vikings was unmatched through 2 weeks in 2023. We all know how that ended up happening. Sell Moss for Brian Robinson, Jalen Warren, Deontay Johnson, Rashid Shaheed, or this next buy low wide receiver. Number 6, Christian Kirk, rest of season rank wide receiver 39. He's a buy. Christian Kirk had just 3 targets in Week 2. He ended the game with -1 receiving yards on just 1 catch on a 10% target share. But Kirk did have a touchdown wiped off the board due to an illegal shift penalty. I'm going to buy low on Christian Kirk. We don't know how long Evan Ingram will miss time with his hamstring injury, and 2 bad games to open the year have absolutely tanked Kirk's value. The Jaguars' offense has not played well, though, and a lack of Kirk probably hasn't helped. Given how the Buffalo Bills look to limit big plays, Week 3 is a layup spot for Kirk to have a marquee double-digit game as Jacksonville looks to get back on track offensively. Send Javonte Williams, Zack Moss, Jerome Ford, Puka Nacua, or Isaiah Pacheco to buy low on Christian Kirk. Before I get to the top 5 on my list, let's hear from our partners. Looking for a smarter way to fund your sports betting or daily fantasy accounts? Our partner, Edge Boost, has you covered with their digital Visa debit card. Make it easier than ever to load funds, earn cash back, and move your money quickly. Here's how it works. Go to fantasypros.com/edge and sign up by entering your information to get your Edge Boost digital Visa debit card. For a limited time, earn 0.5% cash back on all deposits in September, with no limit on how much you can earn. Link your Edge card to your preferred sportsbook or fantasy sports platform to load and withdraw money instantly. Why Edge Boost? What makes this card different from using your existing credit card, PayPal, or bank account? Here are a few reasons. Instant transfers. You no longer need to wait for bank transfers to clear or get held up when moving funds between accounts. Edge Boost lets you load and withdraw money instantly, meaning you can act quickly to capitalize on that perfect betting line before it moves. Earn cash back on every transaction. Imagine getting rewarded every time you fund your sportsbook or daily fantasy account. With Edge Boost, you earn cash back on every deposit and withdrawal, meaning the more you play, the more you earn. Depending on how active you are, this can add up to hundreds or even thousands of dollars in cash back over time. No fees, no interest, no credit checks. Unlike traditional credit cards, the Edge Boost Visa debit card comes with zero fees, zero interest, and no credit checks. The card is backed by FDIC-insured betting bank account, so you can deposit and withdraw money, peace of mind, knowing your funds are secure, and there's no risk of frozen accounts or transaction reviews. Ready to take on your sports betting game to the next level? Sign up through fantasypros.com/edge and lock in your 0.5% cash back offer for September today. Don't wait. Start earning cash back while funding your sportsbook accounts instantly. That's fantasypros.com/edge. Sign up today. Number 5, Davante Adams, rest of season rank, wide receiver 13, sell. Adams dominated in week 2 for the Raiders, seeing 12 targets for a 32% target share, catching 9 passes for 110 yards, plus a touchdown score on 1 of 3 red zone targets. But with Gardner Minshew at the helm at quarterback, it's going to be a bumpy ride with Adams all year long. Anytime he booms, he should be placed firmly on the trade block. The target volume has been there both weeks for Adams in the Raiders' quick, short passing game, but I can see him suffering greatly in less favorable game scripts, such as the ones coming up next the few weeks for the Raiders. The Raiders will face the Andy Dalton-led Panthers in week 3, followed by the Browns, Broncos, and Steelers. Send Davante Adams to acquire Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, or this next buy low wide receiver. Number 4, Brandon Aiyuk, rest of season ranked wide receiver 18, buy. Aiyuk saw just 5 targets, but 2 in the red zone, catching 4 passes for 43 yards in week 2. He had 4 red zone targets so far this season, but has 0 touchdowns. However, his wide receiver 1 role returned in week 2, as he ran a route on 93% of the offensive dropbacks. He should see a major bump in production with Deebo Samuel's sideline over the next couple weeks. After a contract hold-in, we should see Aiyuk erupt in this spot versus the Los Angeles Rams' putrid secondary. Acquire Aiyuk with Jalen Waddle, Aaron Jones, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, or as part of a haul for this massive sell-high running back. Number 3, Alvin Kamara, rest season rank RB11, sell. Kamara was a workhorse in week 2, carrying the ball 20 times for 115 yards, averaging nearly 6 yards per carry with 3 rushing touchdowns. He was also heavily involved in the passing game, catching 2 of his 3 targets for 65 yards and another touchdown. Kamara's 4 touchdown performance is another addition to his list of insane fantasy outings for one of the all-time great running backs to play in the last 10 years. And here's a friendly reminder about Kamara. He started very strong last year as well. RB6 in points per game, weeks 3 through 9, and he fell to RB17 from weeks 10 through 18. I acknowledge his receiving usage thus far at 20% target share is great. Still, the touchdowns and the potential middling rushing efficiency for an older running back, questionable offensive line could be problematic down the stretch. Kamara's already scored as many touchdowns, 5, this season as he's averaged over the past 2 seasons. I think this is an easy sell-high window. Sell Kamara, Tyreek Hill, James Cook, Devon Achane, Nico Collins, or for my number 1 buy low wide receiver. Number 2, Jamar Chase, rest season rank wide receiver 4, buy. Chase caught just 4 of 5 targets for 14% target share, 35 yards in week 2. The Kansas City Chiefs forced offenses to look elsewhere than their primary weapons, so Chase wasn't very productive. But keep this in mind. Chase was horrible the first 2 weeks of last season. Rinse and repeat, folks, with us entering week 3. With the Commanders on deck this week, I cannot think of another bigger blow-up spot in fantasy football than Chase versus atrocious Commanders secondary. This is where the runway for Chase as the wide receiver 1 starts. Acquire Chase with Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or as part of a package with this next sell running back. Number 1, Derrick Henry, rest of season rank RB13, sell. Henry led the rushing attack with 18 carries for 84 yards, under 5 yards per carry, with a long run of 29 yards and 1 rushing touchdown from the Wildcat. But this was a grim way to start the game for the Ravens running back. In the first half, Henry had just 5 rushing yards on 7 carries. 2 games in, I'm not exactly thrilled with how Henry has looked and has rushed behind the Ravens offensive line. Henry contributed to the passing game with just 1 catch on 1 target for 12 yards. Meanwhile, Justice Hill added 2 catches for 10 yards on 2 targets. Hill also outstepped Henry for the 2nd straight game. If Baltimore continues to play more back-and-forth contests, Henry's production is going to remain super volatile. Very dependent on touchdowns. There's a sell-high opportunity ahead of a matchup versus the Cowboys in Week 3. Sell Derrick Henry for Collins, Chris Olave, and if you can't package up, for Jamar Chase. That's about my players list for trades for Week 3. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share with all your friends, just not your league mates. And again, before you go, don't forget, unlock the full potential of your team with Trade Central. Pinpoint your strengths, weaknesses, and top trade partners all in one place. Dominate your deals today at fantasypros.com/myplaybook. Thanks for watching.